Let's return to Hollywood and our top story this morning, where legendary actress Diane Keaton has died at the age of 79, sending shockwaves through the industry and among fans.
You said you can't imagine what I think of you.
Oh, yeah, you don't have.
Hollywood has seen its fair share of shocking headlines, but few have left fans as speechless as this one. Jack Nicholson, one of the most legendary, unpredictable, and controversial figures in movie history, is now at the center of an alarming investigation following the mysterious death of his longtime friend and rumored love interest, Diane Keaton. The pair's connection spanned decades, marked by passion, tension, and artistic brilliance. But now, with Keaton's sudden and unexplained passing, questions are swirling about what really went on behind closed doors. Diane Keaton, the beloved star of Annie Hall, had always been known for her quirky charm and quiet depth. But those close to her say that in recent months she had become withdrawn, even fearful. Insiders claim she had been in contact with Jack shortly before her death, sparking rumors that something far darker was unfolding beneath the Hollywood glitter. Now, with investigators reportedly revisiting old interviews, phone records, and witness statements, the world is wondering if this is merely a tragic coincidence, or the unraveling of one of Hollywood's most haunting mysteries. For years, Jack and Diane were Hollywood's most enigmatic duo, a blend of charisma and chaos. But as details emerge, fans are beginning to question whether their bond was as innocent as it seemed, or if it hid a secret that could change everything we thought we knew about both stars. Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton's connection was one of Hollywood's most fascinating enigmas, part friendship, part romance, and entirely unpredictable. They were two of the most iconic actors of their generation, both fiercely independent and magnetically drawn to one another. Their chemistry was undeniable, on screen and off. But beneath the smiles, laughter, and red carpet charm, their relationship was far more complicated than most realized. Their story began in the late 1970s, when both stars were at the peak of their fame. Nicholson was fresh off his Oscar-winning success in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest in Chinatown, while Keaton had become Woody Allen's muse in Annie Hall, a role that would define her career. Hollywood adored them. Nicholson, the ultimate rebel with a devilish grin, and Keaton, the eccentric, stylish free spirit who refused to play by anyone's rules. The two first crossed paths through mutual friends and quickly bonded over their shared love of art, jazz, and classic cinema. "Jack could make me laugh like no one else," Diane once said in an interview. "He was dangerous in the best possible way." That danger, though, was part of the problem. Nicholson was notorious for his womanizing ways and lived his life unapologetically. Keaton, though fiercely independent, had a soft spot for him that never seemed to fade. Their connection deepened during the filming of Something's Gotta Give, 2003, where the two played lovers who rediscover romance late in life. The chemistry was so real that fans, and even some of their co-stars, wondered if the lines between fiction and reality had blurred. Rumors quickly spread that their on-screen passion had spilled off-screen. Insiders claimed that Nicholson and Keaton's flirtations continued long after filming wrapped, with the two frequently spotted together at private dinners, award shows, and intimate gatherings in Los Angeles. They had this incredible push-pull energy, one Hollywood insider revealed. One minute they were inseparable, the next they were fighting like fire and gasoline. Their relationship was never official, at least not publicly, but it carried all the hallmarks of a deep emotional bond. Keaton often described Nicholson as a man who understood the chaos of life, while Jack once called her one of the few women who could match me thought for thought, laugh for laugh. Still, their connection wasn't without pain. Diane's close friends have long hinted that Nicholson's unpredictable behavior left her heartbroken more than once. His infamous affairs, wild parties, and volatile moods made it difficult for anyone to get too close for too long. Yet Keaton never seemed to cut ties completely. There was something about Jack she couldn't let go of. Over the years, the two maintained a complex friendship that fascinated fans and the media alike. Even as they grew older, the bond remained. When asked in a 2016 interview if she still loved Jack, Diane laughed softly and said, "Of course, how could you not love Jack Nicholson?" But now, in the wake of Diane Keaton's mysterious passing, that history has taken on a darker meaning. Reports have surfaced that Keaton and Nicholson had spoken several times in the weeks before her death, and that their final conversation may hold clues to what really happened. Authorities are reportedly looking into their long and tangled relationship, re-examining moments that once seemed romantic but now appear unsettling in hindsight. Friends close to both stars describe their connection as intense, emotional, and sometimes destructive. What really went on between these two Hollywood legends? Was it love, obsession, or something more sinister? As the investigation deepens, every piece of their shared past, from the flirtations and heartbreaks to the whispered arguments behind closed doors, is being put under the microscope. For a couple that once captured the world's imagination, the truth behind their final chapter may turn out to be the most shocking story of all. For decades, Diana Kent was the beating heart of classic Hollywood charm, an actress who could disarm anyone with a smile and break hearts with a single look. But in her final days, those closest to her noticed something different. The laughter that once filled her home had grown quiet. The phone, once constantly buzzing with scripts and invitations, had stopped ringing. And behind her soft eyes, there was something else: fear. Diana had always been a private person. Even at the height of her fame, she preferred quiet evenings at home to the wild parties that defined the industry. Yet in the weeks leading up to her death, she confided to a close friend that she felt she was being watched. The friend brushed it off at first. After all, Diana was known for her vivid imagination. But the calls she started receiving in the middle of the night were no illusion. One voicemail, left just days before everything unraveled, contained nothing but static, and then a faint voice whispering her name. At the center of this growing unease was Jake Norwood, Diana's longtime friend and former co-star. Their connection had spanned more than 30 years, from their early collaborations in the 1980s to their most recent reunion in Second Chances, a romantic drama that had reignited rumors of an affair. The chemistry between them was undeniable, but off-screen, things were far more complicated. Those close to Diana claimed that Jake had recently tried to rekindle their old relationship, sending her flowers, letters, and late-night messages. He was charming, yes, but persistent to the point of obsession. He couldn't let her go, said one insider. He adored her, but he also wanted to control the story, to make sure no one else could have her. In her final weeks, Diana's behavior grew increasingly erratic. She canceled appearances, skipped interviews, and spent long hours at her coastal home, away from the public eye. She told friends she was writing a memoir, one that would tell the truth about everything. But no such manuscript has ever been found. Neighbors later reported seeing a black car parked outside her house late at night. No one ever saw who was inside, and when questioned, police could find no record of any visitors. Some dismissed it as coincidence, but others weren't so sure. Then, on the night before her death, Diana received a phone call that lasted nearly 40 minutes. Records show the call came from a number linked to Jake Norwood's office, though his team insists he was out of town that evening, attending a private film gala in Santa Barbara. What was said during that call remains unknown, but those who knew Diana best say she seemed shaken afterward. The next morning, her assistant arrived to find the house silent. The lights were still on. A cup of cold coffee sat on the kitchen counter beside an open notebook, the last page filled with a single unfinished sentence. "I never meant for it to end this way." Authorities ruled her death suspicious but inconclusive. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle, and nothing stolen. Yet the atmosphere inside the house, the open doors, the misplaced objects, the faint scent of cologne in the hallway, left detectives with more questions than answers. When Jake Norwood was questioned, he appeared calm and composed, but those present said there was something in his demeanor, a subtle flicker of guilt, or maybe sorrow, that hinted at a deeper truth. "We loved each other," he told reporters. "That's all anyone needs to know." But to those who had seen the darker side of their bond, that statement only deepened the mystery. What really happened to Diana Kent that night? Was it a tragic accident, a calculated act, or something in between? As the investigation unfolds, one thing becomes clear. In the glittering world of Hollywood, where every smile hides a secret, truth is the hardest script to write. When news of Diana Kent's sudden death broke, Hollywood came to a standstill. For decades, she had been an icon, the kind of actress whose presence could light up a room before she even spoke. Yet behind the flood of tributes and tearful interviews, something more sinister was brewing. From the start, the circumstances of her death didn't add up. The police ruled it suspicious but inconclusive, a vague label that left room for endless speculation. But as more evidence surfaced, it became clear that someone was trying very hard to make sure the real story never saw Detective Laura C. Even more unsettling was what Diana's assistant found hidden in a locked drawer of her bedroom, a small voice recorder. On it were several recordings of private phone calls, some with Jake, others with unnamed men whose voices have yet to be identified. In one recording, Diana can be heard whispering, "I know what they did. If anything happens to me, don't believe what they say." Those words sent shockwaves through the investigation. Suddenly, what looked like an isolated tragedy was starting to look like a cover-up. Reporters who tried to dig deeper found themselves stonewalled. One journalist, who had planned to release an exposé on Diana's final months, claimed his car was followed and his laptop stolen just days before publication. Another received a cease-and-desist letter from a major film studio, warning of defamation and career-ending consequences. Detective Chambers pushed forward despite mounting pressure from powerful figures who wanted the case closed. She described late-night phone calls from anonymous voices advising her to walk away. But she refused. "Diana deserved the truth," she said, "and I wasn't going to let fear bury it." Then came the breakthrough. DNA evidence found under Diana's fingernails. It was a partial match to someone close to her inner circle, but the results were inconclusive due to contamination. Whether this was coincidence or intentional tampering remains one of the biggest mysteries of the case. The time the investigation was officially closed, many felt justice had been denied. No arrests were made, no suspects charged, and the official report labeled her death an accidental overdose. But those who knew Diana best never accepted that explanation. She wasn't the kind of woman to give up. Her longtime friend, actress Marlene Hughes, said tearfully in an interview, she was strong. She was scared, yes, but she was ready to fight. Something happened that night, and someone out there knows exactly what. And as whispers spread through Hollywood's elite, one question continued to echo through the halls of every studio and mansion. If Diana Kent's death was an accident, why is everyone trying so hard to hide the truth? Months after the investigation into Diana Kent's mysterious death had seemingly gone cold, the world had moved on. The tabloids had turned their attention to newer scandals, and Hollywood's PR machines had successfully buried the story beneath premieres, awards, and red carpets. But then in a twist no one saw coming, a confession emerged. It began quietly, a late-night podcast by investigative journalist Evelyn Rhodes, who had been following the case since day one. She claimed to have uncovered new evidence and, more importantly, a confession from someone who had lived the lie for too long. Within hours of its release, the episode was taken down. But by then, thousands had already heard it. The voice on the recording belonged to Jake Norwood, Diana's co-star and rumored former lover. His tone was weary, broken, a man haunted by guilt. "I didn't mean for it to happen that way," he said softly. "She wasn't supposed to die. I just wanted her to stop talking." The world froze. In the recording, Jake described a night of escalating tension. Diana had been threatening to go public with what she called a list, names of influential Hollywood figures involved in illegal dealings, bribery, and worse. She claimed to have proof, evidence she had gathered over the years, including voice recordings and contracts. She told me she couldn't live with it anymore. Jake continued. She said if I didn't help her, she'd go on camera and name everyone. I panicked. According to the confession, their confrontation turned physical. Diana fell, striking her head against the marble fireplace. Jake claimed it was an accident, a moment of rage and fear that spiraled out of control. But what made the confession even more chilling was what came next. Jake admitted that he didn't call 911. Instead, he called someone else, a powerful Hollywood executive known for fixing problems. Within an hour, a team arrived, cleaned the scene, and destroyed any evidence linking Jake to the incident. The security footage was erased, the coroner's report altered, and the official cause of death rewritten. They told me to keep my mouth shut, Jake said through tears. They said if I talked, I'd never work again. Or worse. The confession sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Within 24 hours, the clip had been shared millions of times across social media before disappearing from every major platform. Many suspected it had been forcibly removed. The podcast's website was taken offline, Evelyn Rhodes went silent, and Jake Norwood reportedly fled the country. But the damage was done. The truth was out. Fans who had adored Jake for decades were devastated. Many refused to believe it, calling the recording fake or AI-generated. Others pointed to the small inconsistencies in the police report, the tampered evidence, and the missing witnesses as proof that Jake's words were genuine. Meanwhile, the LAPD reopened the case, though no official statement was made. Anonymous insiders claimed the department had received pressure from above to avoid pursuing new charges. In the weeks that followed, new rumors began to circulate about a flash drive Diana had hidden somewhere, containing the names, contracts, and recordings she'd mentioned before her death. Some claimed it was discovered by her assistant, but quickly bought by a media company that never released it. Others believe it's still out there, waiting to resurface. For Diana's family, the confession brought little comfort. Her sister, Margaret Kent, released a statement saying, "We've waited years for someone to tell the truth. Now that it's here, all it does is reopen wounds." Diana was silenced, and so was her story. But her voice will never fade. Not now, not ever. Hollywood reacted in its usual way, with denial and deflection. Studios scrubbed Jake Norwood's name from upcoming projects, actors distanced themselves, and producers issued vague statements about healing and privacy. Yet behind closed doors, fear lingered. If Diana truly had that list, who else might be exposed next? As time passed, one haunting truth remained clear. Diana Kent didn't die by accident. She died because she knew too much. The final words of Evelyn Rhodes's last podcast still echo through conspiracy forums and late-night talk shows. In Hollywood, the show must go on. But sometimes, the price of silence is a life, and Diana Kent paid it in full. And with that, the world was left wondering, how many more secrets lie buried beneath the glittering lights of Hollywood?